Hi guys, here's some tips on writing a thesis statement for your research paper proposal project. All right, so first up, let's talk about what I mean when we're looking for a thesis statement in this assignment. First up, it should be 1 or 2 sentences. I don't need a whole paragraph, but it does need to be a full and complete thought. Shouldn't really be shorter than that. And then the really important thing is that those sentences clearly state your argument for your paper. The first major characteristic of a thesis statement is that it does need to be debatable. It needs to give a position and a belief that you are going to present. So first up, here's an example of a thesis statement that doesn't meet those criteria. Maybe just needs a little more tweaking. So in this thesis statement, it says Arabs in the United States have faced increasing discrimination following ISIS attacks. So it's very clear. I know what they're going to write about, but there's no position here. It's just straight factual. It doesn't tell me why they think that's happened. So here's an updated version that will work better. This one says Arabs in the United States have faced increasing discrimination following the rise of ISIS because visible differences in dress and religion prevent assimilation into the mainstream. This one's great. I still know very clearly what their topic is. I also know what they're going to be focusing on in their paper. I know we're going to be looking at some visible differences in dress and religion, particularly from culture, and I know that they're taking a sociological focus by looking at assimilation. So that is a great start with the thesis there. All right, so let's talk about making your own thesis and where you're going to start for that. Step 1, you need to pick a topic. So you'll go to your list of 5 topics that you turned in during the first week. This is my imaginary list that I'm just going to work with here. And I'm going to look for a topic that does a few things. One, that it's broad enough that I feel like I could get 3 or 4 supporting points and write about that 6 to 8 pages on it. I'm also going to make sure that it interests me because it's really hard to write a paper if you think your topic is very boring. I'm going to look for something that I think that I can get appropriate scholarly sources on. And also, if it isn't something that showed up in your original list of 5 topics, that's fine too. If now that you've read through 3 chapters on the book, you have a better idea for something you want to study, that's totally fine. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to pick long-term influences of school desegregation. I think it's something that will make an interesting paper, a very sociological one, and it's something that I really like learning more about. All right, so now that we have our topic, we're going to move on to step 2, which is ask a question. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that topic and you're just going to start asking questions about it. You only really need to answer one for your paper. When you're thinking about it, though, it may not hurt to brainstorm several and just see which one you think will work best. My one special note is to just make sure that your question isn't just what happened during this time period. It is a good question, but it's more of a history paper question and not a sociology paper question. And you do want to make sure that you're taking a sociology focus for this assignment. So here's some possibilities with my topic. So I think about some different outcomes. How does attending a desegregated high school influence where you live as an adult? How does attending a desegregated high school change your view of other races? How does attending a desegregated high school influence your workplace interactions? So now I have a couple possibilities I might want to do for my thesis. I've narrowed it a little more. I've taken it from that broader topic to a direct focus for my paper. But it's not a thesis statement just yet. It's just a question right now. So to get to the thesis statement, we need to come to step 3, which is answer that question. So first up, you're just going to make an educated reason that you think answers your question. So maybe my first thesis statement that I think up is, well, students attending racially integrated high schools are more likely to choose integrated neighborhoods because they have been socialized to value diversity. At this point, though, you may need to do a little more research, and as you do a little more research, maybe you think that's still a great and strong thesis statement, then by all means stick with it. Good job. If you notice as you're doing your research that maybe something else fits a little better, maybe you need to revise it, and that's okay. So in this Theoretical situation, I've revised it to say that students attending racially integrated high schools are more likely to choose integrated neighborhoods because the school setting provides ideal opportunities to break down prejudice. And that right there would be my thesis statement that I'd turn in for the proposal. I'm clearly presenting my topic, and I'm also clearly presenting my position for why I think that happens. Another thing that comes up in your proposal that I'll be looking for are a few things. One is that the way you answer that question is specific. So here's something that would not be quite specific enough. If I say that those students are likely to choose integrated neighborhoods because they have different ideas now, well, maybe that's true, but you need to explain how they're different. When in doubt, more specific is better. And the other thing that again I'm looking for is that it's sociological. If you're worried that it's not sociological enough, you can always email me. I'm delighted to talk about with you. But also maybe look for a theory from the book. You know, if you're tying that to assimilation, if you're tying that to secessionist minorities, if you're tying that to something like that, you're set. Or if you interact with the social world somehow, be that gender, age, family, you are also set for sure. Anything else, feel free to ask me and I'm happy to help. Last up though, that helps with this assignment and that would also be in the introductory portion of your paper when you turn it in at the end of the semester, is to develop your question. So a big part of your paper is to think up points that support that thesis. Many of you in writing classes in the past will have maybe done these in one sentence. You're maybe writing complex enough papers this time that it would be very challenging to put that into one sentence that's not a run-on. So it will probably be just in the same paragraph. So when you're thinking about your development points, just know that each of these needs to be followed up by about a page, like 3 to 5 paragraphs, so make sure it's broad enough for that. You'll get the ideas from that outside research as you read more. And eventually you'll make some sort of organizational statement. For this assignment, you just need to tell me what those points are and about a sentence or two explaining them. So not for this one, but just to be keeping in mind when you think of those points, this is what you'll need. So here's an example of what I might do, again, for my hypothetical paper, is to say that these ideal opportunities include ample opportunities for cooperation. Then, in the paper I'd write 3 paragraphs about those. Introduction to a variety of individuals within an ethnic group. Then maybe I'll talk about how important it is to meet more than just one sort of representative of minority groups. I can talk about guided socialization for teachers, and then also that the timing of the interactions takes place during youth and adolescence. You'd want to do something similar for your paper. And that will help you also to keep more direction going. Like if you find that you can't get enough supporting points, it may be time to go back and revise your thesis one more time. All right, I hope this helps. Good luck with your thesis.